Alright, so what's up everyone and welcome back to the channel. Now today we are doing another tier list here on the channel. The previous one I did was ranking all the Call of Duty games in the franchise. Now today we're going to be ranking all the Mastery Camos in COD history. Now a Mastery Camo could include things like Gold Camo and Diamond Camo and whatever that may be. However, today I'm just going to be including the final Mastery Camo, so things like Dark Matter and Atomic, let's say for example. It's not going to be including every single Gold Camo from every single game, because let's be honest, Gold is pretty much the same across the board. And if we included every single iteration of Gold, every single iteration of Diamond, we would be here for so long, and to be honest, they aren't really that different enough for me to actually sit down and compare them. So today we're going to be ranking all the final Mastery Camos here in Call of Duty. If you enjoy this video, or if you've been checking my channel out lately, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you enjoy my content. Leave a like on this video if you enjoy, and with all that out of the way, we should get right into it. Just before we get started, I just want to mention that this is going to be my opinion. Obviously, our tier lists aren't going to be identical. That's nearly impossible. If you disagree with something and you want to talk about it, leave a comment down below. As long as you're respectful, I'll show the same respect to you, and we can have a nice civil discussion, I'd like to hope. But regardless, we're going to start off with Black Ops 3's Dark Matter. Now, this was the first final Mastery Camo to ever be added into the Call of Duty franchise. We've had Gold and Diamond previously, but this is the first sort of ultimate final one that we got. And to be honest, it was a fantastic start. This is, in my opinion, one of the best Mastery Camos in Call of Duty history, and a lot of people would tell you that this is the best, and I'm going to go ahead and put this in S tier just because I do believe it is definitely one of the best. It looks fantastic. The main thing for me with a Mastery Camo is, does it stand out? You put so much effort into getting this final camo. If somebody sees it in game, is it going to be instantly recognizable? And this is definitely one of them. It's a bright purple, it moves, it has the cool like sort of glowy red bits as well that go through the purple as well. It's just a fantastic looking camo. And not to mention as well, the coverage on it is amazing. That's one part that's important to me, is the coverage of the camo. You have a lot, let's say like Damascus, where it will cover parts of it and some parts won't be as good. But with Dark Matter and Black Ops 3, it covered pretty much all of the gun from what I remember, and the animation on it was really cool. Obviously, when it first came out, it wasn't amazing, but the way it stands now, it looks incredible, so that's where it's going to stay. Next up, we have Solar from Infinite Warfare, and honestly, this is one of the only Mastery Camos I've never unlocked in Call of Duty, and I haven't seen much of it, but I have seen pictures of it. I do know what this looks like, and I'm going to go ahead and put it at B tier. I don't think it's an amazing looking camo, but it definitely has the recognizable factor, and obviously it's animated, so that always helps. There isn't really much to this camo. It's just sort of like a bright yellow fiery sort of skin. It doesn't really have too much to it. It's just sort of one static color, and I don't think it's definitely a bad thing. It definitely stands out, like I said, and it's animated, but I just feel like compared to some of the other Mastery Camos that we've received, I just don't think it's one of the best we have seen. I just think it's sort of there. The other Mastery Camo in Infinite Warfare is Black Sky. Now, in my opinion, this is pretty much just a B-Tech Dark Matter. I don't really think it's that much different. I would say you could tell them apart. This one has a bit more of a more vibrant aesthetic to it, but I don't think it's as good as Dark Matter. So I'm going to go ahead and put this one in A tier. I don't think it's bad by all means, that's why it's in A tier, but I just don't think it compares to the original Dark Matter. It definitely looks a lot better in-game than in the menus. I remember looking at the menus, pictures of it, and it didn't look that great, but recently I've seen some in-game footage of what is it, Black Sky, or I can't remember what it's called. And honestly, it looks fantastic. It does look really good, but there is a lot of grinding for this one. I believe Solar is the final one where, you know, you just get all the gold guns, but then this is the sort of final one where I think you have to get the sort of legacy weapons gold as well, I think, or you have to like master prestige your weapons. I can't remember exactly, but I remember this is like the ultimate skin in the game, and it does look really good, I'm not gonna lie. Next up here we have Exclusion Zone from Modern Warfare Remastered. Definitely, in my opinion, the most underrated camo. I would say mainly because it's not that animated. It definitely is animated, I'm not saying that it isn't, but compared to the other ones, it doesn't move anywhere near as much. The way I'll describe this one is, it's sort of like a rocky Obsidian look with like green lines, and the green sort of underneath the rocks does move, but obviously it's not like moving across the entire gun, it's just in the cracks, so people don't really notice it as much. I'm going to put this one, for now at least, at the top of A tier, definitely above Black Sky. It's not as standing out as Black Sky, but it definitely just looks so much cleaner. It looks so cool. The green bits, from what I remember, do glow quite bright, so it is pretty recognizable. And it's just I would say for the aesthetic of Modern Warfare Remastered, this one really fits it well. And they managed to get an animated camo that wasn't too, like, hyper unrealistic. Obviously, this isn't realistic, quote unquote, but it definitely fits the sort of aesthetic that MWR has and is going for, so I think it's amazing. This is also one of the ones that I haven't ever unlocked. I never unlocked Exclusion Zone, and I want to go back and do that because I reckon it'll be quite fun, and the camo does look really good, and I definitely want to do that at some point this year. Yeah, overall, I think Exclusion Zone is highly underrated, and I think people need to recognize it more because it looks great. But regardless, we're going to move on to Chrome Camo from World War II. Now, this one, I'm going to go ahead and put it in D tier. I just honestly think it's probably the worst Mastery Camo we've ever received in COD. Not only is it such a very, like, bland look to it, like, yeah, the reflectiveness is nice, but for the final camo, or at the time it was the final camo, I just don't think it's worth it, especially because you have to get, like, a ultra blueprint for it to actually look good. If you put this on a standard weapon, it looks awful. It genuinely looks terrible. There's barely any chrome on it. It has, like, no shine to it at all. You have to get, like, a heroic weapon for it to actually look really good, and even then, it doesn't compare to some of the best ones we've ever received. But obviously, they were trying to keep it grounded and realistic to World War II. Like, you're not going to have, like, a bright orange solar camo in World War II, but at the same time, I feel like that was sort of the downfall of this camo. Like, if you try and go for more of a realistic look, it's always not going to look as cool as the sort of wacky ones, and Call of Duty always goes wacky eventually, so they might as well have just gone for something out there, but I respect them for trying at least. Now, the next camo we're going to be talking about is Chrome Tiger from World War II. Now, just before we talk about this one, there is Gold Leopard and Gold Cheetah, I believe, in World War II as well. I could talk about them because technically you could class them as above Chrome. However, I don't really think they constitute as a Mastery Camo, like an ultimate Mastery Camo. They're sort of just variants of Gold, really, whereas Chrome Tiger is a variant of the ultimate one, so that's why I'm including this one. But regardless, I think this one is a B tier. I definitely think it is much better than the original Chrome, with the whole tiger design on it. I think it just looks fantastic. However, I think it still does have the same issue with the heroic blueprints and the epic blueprints or whatever, where, like, if you don't have one of them, it doesn't look as good, which it's really annoying. And considering this is, like, not only do you have to go through getting every single weapon gold, but you also have to get them prestige to, like, prestige 4 or something, considering how much of a grind that is and comparing it to pretty much Chrome with some black lines on it, although it does look a lot better, it doesn't really justify it as much. So that's why I've gone ahead and put it in B tier. If it wasn't as much as a grind, or if this was in place of Chrome, I'd probably go ahead and put it in A, because I do really like the aesthetic of it. It does look really good. The next camo we're talking about is Black Ops 4's Dark Matter. Now, this, when I first saw it, I fell in love instantly, because I personally love a black and red color scheme. My entire setup is black and red, and this camo is black and red. So, as you can imagine, I fell in love with it, and at the time, I did like it a lot more than Black Ops 3's Dark Matter, I won't lie. Now, whether I still back that or not, I'm not sure. My opinion might change throughout the video, but for now, we're going to put it in S tier, just behind Black Ops 3's Dark Matter. Now, one reason why my opinion might change throughout the video is because this camo actually evolves as you play. So I think if you get, I think it's every 5 kills, you get a different evolution. So you have the base camo, then you get some spikes, and it starts glowing more, and it gets crazy to the point where it actually turns into the Black Ops 3 Dark Matter, which obviously is amazing because you have both camos then, I'd imagine. But I don't know, I really like the base camo with, like, the spikes on it. Once it gets to, like, 20 kills or something, it's just basically you're carrying the sun around and it looks ridiculous, like, dumb. But I think the sort of the start of the evolution and the end is just really, really nice, and this one is definitely worth the grind in my opinion. The next camo we have here is Damascus. Now, this is probably going to be a controversial opinion, but I'm going to go ahead and put this one in A tier, just above Black Sky, but not above what's it called, Exclusion Zone. Now, you might think this is pretty high for a non-animated camo, and I mean, that is true, but I personally really love the aesthetic of Damascus. I think it's a really nice camo. Yeah, when this camo first launched, it looked really bad, I'm not gonna lie. It didn't look very vibrant at all, but it has multiple colors going on now. It's extremely vibrant. It has blues, greens, reds, purples, all intertwined in this one camo. It has tons of reflectiveness to it, and although it isn't animated, I think it's just a really nice camo. It's really clean. My only problem with it, the reason it's not top of A, is the coverage. The coverage is god-awful on a lot of weapons. I believe this is the first camo to have sort of two sides of the camo going on. So you have the blue, red, purple, green sort of first section of the camo, and then you have the black one with like the blue lines through it. And when you contrast these properly, you have predominantly the more vibrant one and a little bit of the black one. It looks really, really good. Like, it looks 10 times better than if it was just normal Damascus over it. However, with a lot of weapons, the black with the blue lines takes over more than the regular Damascus, so it just looks terrible. If I can find some screenshots, I'll put them on screen to sort of show what I'm talking about. But the way they do the coverage on some of the weapons in Modern Warfare is just beyond me. It looks so bad. It's the same with gold. A lot of it is just black with gold lines through it instead of actual gold, and it looks awful in my opinion. But if they actually kept the coverage proper, it would look a lot better. So that's why it's not above Exclusion Zone for me. The next camo on the list is Obsidian Camo. I'm honestly going to put this above Damascus, but not above Exclusion Zone, just because Exclusion Zone is basically Obsidian, but with green lines and animation, so it's hard to put Obsidian above that. But I honestly, Obsidian is one of my favorite camos of all time. It looks really, really good. It's like all black, but it has like this really good reflectiveness to it. It just looks incredible, and it is a hell of a grind to get Obsidian, but you only have to get gold to then be able to get Obsidian. It's not like you have to get Damascus and then Obsidian, but it's just such a really clean camo. Not only that, it covers literally everything on your gun. It covers the scopes, the suppressors, the grips, the magazine. Everything is covered in Obsidian. It's not like Damascus where some of it is, some of it isn't. Literally everything is in Obsidian, and the only way I think they could top this Obsidian and make it better is if they add this sort of purple reflectiveness to it. If you use the Growl and MP7 purple tracer blueprints, I can't remember what they're called, but if you use those certain blueprints, you actually get a sort of purple reflectiveness on the gun with Obsidian, and it looks phenomenal. It's the same thing with the MP5. There's also sort of like a cyan one you can get, and it gives you a sort of like cyan Obsidian. If they had variants of the Obsidian camo, like with different color reflectiveness to it, it would be like 10 times better. But regardless, I love the all black aesthetic anyway. I think it's really, really clean, so that's why I like it. Just 3 more camos to talk about now. We have DM Ultra, Dark Ether, and Atomic. Now the first one we're going to talk about is DM Ultra. Honestly, I'm going to put this at S tier, and I think I'm going to put it just behind Black Ops 4's Dark Matter for now. And I honestly, I love this camo so much. It is really, really nice. It has like this sort of Obsidian sort of look to it, where it has like a bit of like a cracked, like rough surface, but it like flows through the gun. And not only that, it changes from like a really deep purple to a very light blue to sort of a lighter purple to like a silvery almost. I love the way the color changes and the way the animation is so smooth, and oh, it's fantastic. Honestly, I really do like it. One problem again is the coverage. On some weapons, it doesn't cover anywhere near as much as it should. Once again, I do really think the DM Ultra and the sort of glossy black, the second part to it, which I was talking about earlier, I think that does make it look 10 times better, once again. Because if it was all just covered in DM Ultra, it would look a bit tacky. So I think having the glossy black parts is a lot better. But once again, the problem is some of the weapons have more glossy black than DM Ultra. So it just looks really dumb. And I don't think that's what we should be given when we've spent hours and days and months of our lives trying to get this camo. I did say at one point that this was probably my #1 camo of all time, but I don't think, for me personally, it tops the OG Dark Matter, and I don't think it can top Black Ops 4's either. But once again, as this video goes on, I might change my opinion. I'll probably have a sort of final review of all the camos and their positions, but we'll see what happens. Next up, we have Dark Ether. I'm just going to go ahead and put this alongside the original Dark Matter because it's literally the exact same. They pretty much ported it over from Black Ops 3, but put it in the zombie section. I think unlocking it is really easy as well, compared to the multiplayer ones. I just realized there is also the Vanguard Dark Ether as well. I completely forgot about it. It went out my head completely, but regardless, yeah, Dark Ether from Cold War is literally just Black Ops 3 Dark Matter, so not much to say there. And we have Atomic here. I'm going to go ahead and put this... I'm going to put it in between Obsidian and Damascus on the A tier. Actually, no, I'm going to put it above Obsidian on the A tier instead of below it. And the reason I say that is because it's animated. It's pretty much Damascus, but it has more of a predominant yellow look to it as opposed to the blue look of Damascus. It's like a yellowy orange aesthetic to it. And it's also animated, obviously. So I think that's why I'd put it above Obsidian. I don't think it's as good as Exclusion Zone, unfortunately. But I do think Atomic is a really nice camo. Once again, it's a very recognizable camo. It's very easy to spot. It's very bright, very reflective. So that's why it's where it is. And finally, we have Vanguard Dark Ether. I'm going to put it on the C tier just because it's animated. If it wasn't animated, then it wouldn't be where it is. But I think the C tier is a very justified position. If there were more camos on the C tier, it would be right at the bottom of the C tier. Don't get me wrong. It's on the verge of C and D. But I just put it on the C tier just because it does move and it is animated. So that is 1 point towards the camo. But... considering the amount of grind there is for the Vanguard's Dark Ether, although you can just go AFK for it, it's still time consuming. It's a joke compared to like Atomic and everything. It's literally Atomic but black and green. And for Atomic, it works well. But for the black and green, it doesn't look good. They should have literally just ported over Dark Ether from Black Ops Cold War. I would have been more happy with that than what we got. But... anyway, that is my final tier list for all the Mastery camos in Call of Duty. Let me know what you think down below of my tier list and all these camos we talked about today. Obviously, we didn't talk about golds and diamonds because that's just... yeah, that's long. I'm hoping Modern Warfare 2 has some really good Mastery camos, and I can't wait to not only go ahead and unlock that, but I can't wait to make some guides on it because I'm really looking forward to that. Not only that, I'm still on my Atomic grind at the moment, and I'm also going to go back and finish some of the other grinds we talked about today sometime this year, because I think Vanguard doesn't do that well. I don't think it's going to sustain the full year, so I'm going to go back and play some older CODs. But anyway, that's going to do it for today's video. Thank you guys very much for watching. If you've enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like and also subscribe if you're new around here. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.